Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back to the Torah portion here in Light to the Nations. It's our blessing to be once again with you in this Shabbat to continue the study of the book of YaHuWaH, the book of Leviticus. We are in the week 26 according to our counting, and today we are going to be studying the portion of Tazria, that is leprosy. So we'll see what the Ruach and what YaHuWaH wants us to dig in on his word and what he's bringing in terms of teaching for all of us. I really hope that that shofar sound will be here for many people, so they are going to join us today and we are going to enjoy this so beautiful time together while we study the word of YaHuWaH. So as I've been telling you most of the time, we need to keep praying for everybody in these times. You know, there are so many people in need that we need to keep all of them, no matter that we know those people or not. You know, we need to start praying for the entire body of YaHuWaH around the world. You know, I was praying today and it came to my mind, I was praying for your people, those that I am able to know, and even those that are known to me, praying for everybody in this time. So I will invite you to do exactly the same. We need to pray for every people around the world that is loving Allah with all their heart, that are keeping His commandment, that are following His steps. So this is exactly what should be in our heart in these times. And I really hope that we are going to enjoy once again this time together in this portion. So, you know, we're not going to delay this too much. I think we are going to go straight forward to the portion, unless you want to say something before.
No, well, I'm going to add to what you said, that if we have to pray for the people, and also taking into consideration that there is a lot of people suffering in different aspects, people maybe who doesn't know Abba at this time, and sometimes they approach to us, maybe to you, with I don't know, a problem that they're facing, maybe some illness in the family. I think that I have said this before.
Maybe you can mention it. You know, Peter was saying exactly the same, that you know, I'm not gonna get tired to repeat myself all over the time.
Maybe that's why.
Yes.
So, because sometimes Abba puts you in the path of some people that they are not receiving Abba yet, or they are seeking Him, but in different places and not directly in His kingdom, maybe through different experiences, and they are struggling. So maybe when they approach to you and their problems, is the opportunity to let them know, and that they don't have that fear of approaching, because sometimes they think, no, he's not going to listen to me. No, maybe you have that relationship with him, and that is the moment when you have to tell them, yes, we can help and pray with you, but the only way that he's going to listen is that when you approach to him, because you are the one who is suffering this moment, and you knock his door, and he's going to open that door for you. You have to build that relationship with him. And they are going, and I can tell you, because we have lived this in our case, that they are going to live and experience that welcome hug from Abba, that they are going to feel that shalom to any problem that they are facing today. So that is our mission, to present Abba to other people. So That is what I wanted to say.
Beautiful words.
Okay.
Beautiful words.
And sorry if I'm repeating all the times.
I think it's good. Sometimes we are like kids that we need to get repeated the words time to time in order to learn. And that's why when we read the scripture, even YaHuWaH is so repetitive that he's repeating all the time, be kadosh, be set apart, and so on. We're going to talk about that most probably today. So, because he's guiding us as kids. So I think when he's leading us on repeating some stuff, it's because we are in times that we need to hear the words often.
And you know what happened when we usually approach to somebody who is facing a problem is that our problems, our daily struggle, they look smaller, because then we realize that in a lot of aspects, Abba is taking care about us. And we know that even though we have a little problem, for us it's something big. But then we are going to put everything in perspective, and we are going to be more, conscious that we also have to pass through trials, to experiences that are going to crush us, but they're going to make us a better student, a better brother, a better sister. We are going to comprehend what is happening in their life and also in our lives. Yeah.
I was reading this morning, I will share it with you. I was not planning to do it, but let's do it anyway. I was reading this morning, just opened the scripture.
I like that.
And I landed in the book of, just in the middle, in the end of the book of Nahum, Habakkuk.
So you read both.
I was reading both, actually. The chapter 3, that's the last chapter of the book of Nahum. And the chapter 1 and 2 of the book of Habakkuk. So let me share something with you. Let's go to the scripture here. And this is a prophetic word of what we are living today. And I'm not gonna go deeper on the understanding that I got this morning. Actually, in my case, more than understanding was a reinforcement, something that Abba led me to understand a few years ago. So let me go to the book of Habakkuk. Is there? Thank you. Chapter 1. And why I'm sharing this? Because this is exactly what we see in the news. We see all over the place happening and people talking about. So I felt myself somehow like watching the news when I was reading the scripture. Time to time I'm going to start watching the news just to understand what's going on in the world. That's why I'm saying that it's like taking a look in the news of today. So it says the following. The message which the prophet Habakkuk saw. O YaHuWaH, till when shall I cry and you not hear? I cry to you, violence, and you do not save. Why do you show me wickedness and cause me to see perversity? The ruin and violence are before me, and there is strife and contention rises. Isn't it exactly what's going on today?
Yeah.
Violence all over the place, strife, contention. It doesn't matter where we live. It's just to look around, and this is exactly what's going on.
Yeah, it's like it's on the air or something like that.
Exactly. It's violence all over the place. So it says, therefore the Torah ceases, and right rulings never goes forth. And this is really interesting, because when violence arises, contention arises, is basically because the right rulings and the righteousness that is coming from the Torah of YaHuWaH is left behind somehow. Yeah. It's left behind. For the wrong hem in the righteous, so that right ruling comes out twisted.
It's like what is happening
and
now.
It's exactly what's happening now. What is good is being called evil, and what is evil being called good. So everything is coming twisted. Look among the nations and see. and be amazed. Be amazed. For a work is being wrought in your days which you would not believe if it were told. See, I am raising up the Kasdim, a bitter and hasty nation, who is going through the breadth of the earth to possess dwelling places that are not theirs. And keep in mind what we were taking a look yesterday in the video, just for you to understand what I saw. They are frightening and fearsome. Their right ruling and their exaltation proceed from themselves. Their horses shall be swifter than leopards, and more fierce than even wolves, and their horsemen shall charge ahead, and their horsemen come from afar. They fly as the eagle, rushing to it. All of them come for violence. The direction of their faces is like the east wind, and they gather captives like sand. And they scoff at sovereigns, and princes are a laughing matter to them. They laugh at every stronghold, for they pile up earth and seize it. So it's people, nations that are taking control over other territories.
Yeah.
This is basically the description that we see here happening, and this is being done with violence.
Yeah.
Okay? That's why it's violence all over the place. Then shall he pass on as a wind, and transgress, and be guilty, and ascribe this power to his mighty one. Are you not from everlasting, O YaHuWaH, my Elohim, my set-apart one? You do not die. O YaHuWaH, you have appointed them for right ruling. O Rock, you have established them for reproof. You whose eyes are to be too clean to see evil, you are not able to look on wrong. And somehow it's connected to what we were discussing about this portion earlier. Why do you not look on those who act treacherously? Keep silent when the wrong devours one more righteous than him. And would you make men like fish of the sea, like creeping creatures that have no ruler over them? The wicked foe has pulled all of them up with a hook, caught them in his net, and gathers them in his dragnet. Therefore he rejoices and exults. Therefore he slaughters to his net, and burns incense to his dragnet. For by them is his portion fat, and his food is rich. Is he therefore to keep on emptying his net, and killing nations without sparing?
Wow.
I think this is a so direct word when you connect the dots on the scriptures about who YaHuWaH is talking about. But the most interesting thing, and I will invite you to read the chapter 2, because I read the 2, and in the chapter 2 has the answer from YaHuWaH, basically. So the point is that this is exactly what we see happening today. You know, all the nations somehow fighting between them, trying to take control over the world. And this is bringing violence all over the place. So we need to understand the word of YaHuWaH and the calling, and that's why I will invite you to read the chapter 2, just to understand what's the full picture of what YaHuWaH is bringing to the table. But what should be our attitude is exactly what the attitude of Habakkuk was, is to come before YaHuWaH, is to bring all of this to YaHuWaH's attention, and to wait on him for his answer.
And abide under his wings. Because
Absolutely.
it's the only place where we can find the protection, the shalom, the guidance, how to survive in the place that we are right now. And I think that is very important, because under his tent, under his wings, his protection, nothing is going to put in danger our ruach. Maybe our flesh, maybe the physical stuff, but we know that that is going to be left here. And at some point it's going to be renewed and being perfect.
By fire.
By fire. So we don't have to worry about this body, but we have to take our ruach in the connection with him, to be close to him. Because if we are not with him, we are going to be outside, where all the enemies are, where they are roving, where they are making all these kind of murders and things like that. So we cannot be far away from him. That is the place that we have to look every day, from the morning, from the moment that we open our eyes until the moment that we close them again, that we have to look for that place with him.
Absolutely. So that was just to start with. So let's move on with the portion of today, but let me just mention some of you that are connected. You know, I see 39 of you connected, and this is a blessing. I see Shirion, Shannon, Wendy, Corina,
Kyle,
yes, Sister Payne, Emissary of Elohim,
Kyle,
Will, I see Will Betancourt here as well.
Annie was listening.
Annie is listening mode. Yeah, we
because
saw the beginning.
Yeah.
And we see Corina as well, Shirion, if I didn't mention.
Yeshua HaMashiach servant.
Yes.
DDK,
Yaya, Willem. So, you know, and many, Watai, I see Watai also. It's a real blessing. Maybe some of you are not sharing and writing in the chat, and you are in listening mode. We welcome all of you to this portion. It's a blessing, as I said at the beginning, to be sharing this time with you in Shabbat, with the only intention to have a virtual gathering together, virtual gathering to spend this time in Shabbat, to study the Word, is to feel the joy of YaHuWaH in our hearts, just because of the fact that we are following the step of Mashiach, and we are walking with the specific north. What is our north is the kingdom of YaHuWaH here on earth. So no more delay, let's go, and let me share the song for this beautiful couple. I will invite you to support their work. It's a beautiful thing they're doing. To go to their channel, to subscribe to their channel, to make some comments, and to try to support in whatever way you can what they are doing.
Sharing with others.
Exactly. So let me put this song with you. Here we go.
The heart of man was not designed to be afraid of death nor life. A worrisome mind will never find rest to your eyes, or soul, oh son of mine. So choose to trust in Yah alone. Peace will make your heart its home. Nothing will come against you that will be too hard to overcome. For Yah has made your heart of stone as soft as the flesh, and calmed your weary soul in His arms. Look to Him who holds all of earth and the stars. Fear only Him who knows their depths, and you will see the wonderful peace of Yah. surely you will see the wonderful peace of Yah.
A beautiful song, you know.
Beautiful,
This
I
is
like it.
exactly what we're looking for, the shalom of YaHuWaH in our hearts. And this is the day of shalom. You know, this is the day of rest. So what a wonderful way to seek that shalom in a day like this. So I will invite you to close your eyes and let's pray together before we start with the study. YaHuWaH Elohim Seot, we come to your presence with thanksgiving, with a humble heart, understanding that you are the creator of everything, that you are the only one and the true Elohim, that you are the one deserving all praises, all worship. We want to thanks in this moment. We want to thank you because for everything you do for our lives, especially because you give us this opportunity to spend this time all together during your day of rest, this special day that you have defined from the beginning, from the very beginning, and you have established as a sign for your people Israel, because we can spend and have joy and shalom in our heart by studying your word. Thank you, Abba, for everyone that is here today, listening to this study, participating in this study. Thank you because no matter the distance, we feel your love between us, among us, because we feel your love in our hearts. Even though we don't know each other in person, we know that you have been taking us out of the world and you have bringing us into your kingdom. And you are connecting us through your Ruach HaKodesh. We pray, Abba, for everyone that is in need in this time. We pray for everyone that is going through difficulties, that you can be with them today, that you can bring restoration, that you can bring healing, that you can bring shalom and joy to their hearts, that you can bring hope and expectation of a better life in you, because we know that you are the one sustaining us. You are the one providing to our needs. We only need to trust in you. And if we trust in you, you will be there for us. Abba, we ask you in this moment that you can guide us in everything we are going to do today. That your Ruach HaKodesh be the one guiding us and instructing us and teaching us directly from your mouth. That your Ruach can reveal into our hearts the words of Mashiach in order to walk in your truth, in your ancient path, in the path of righteousness, that path that is leading us to your kingdom. Thank you, Abba, for your presence among us. We invite you, O YaHuWaH, that you can be with us in this time, that your presence be in our heart, that your Ruach can make us echad in you. Thank you, Abba, for listening to our prayer. Thank you for listening to our voices. We lift up our voices to you as an ascending offering. And we ask you, Abba, that you can receive it as a sweet fragrance before your presence. And we do it in the mighty name of your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen.
Amen.
Good. So let's begin. Let's start with the Parsha in 60 seconds. Here we go.
Shalom and welcome to Parsha in 60 seconds. Today's portion is from Leviticus 12:1 through 13:59. It is called Tazria, which means she conceives. God tells Moses, when a woman has a boy, she is unclean 7 days and must wait 33 days. For a girl, double. After her time is complete, she was to bring a sin offering. When a person had a swelling, rash, discoloration, scaly affection, inflammation, or burn, it was to be reported to the priest, who would examine it to determine whether the person was clean or unclean. Unclean persons were to tear their clothes, leave their heads bare, cover up their upper lips, and declare, "Unclean, unclean," and chill outside the camp. When clothes got dirty, it was to be shown to the priest, who was to examine and determine whether it was clean or unclean. If unclean, it was to be burnt. But if there were no stains after a wash, it was to be washed again and be clean. And that is Tazria in 60 seconds.
These videos are so funny, you know. I can imagine a person in the inside of the washing machine. Is that one?
Okay, that was.
The washing machine just turning and turning and turning in order to be clean, and that's so funny. So, you know, let's begin. Let's go. Let me put the scripture here on the screen, and let's see how the Ruach is bringing today. So let's go to the book of Leviticus, YaHuWaH, chapter 12. And if I recall properly, I think you are the one reading this one. You are reading the shorter one, and you are giving me the longer one to me, okay? I think it's not fair, but it's okay.
And YaHuWaH spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, when a woman has conceived and has given birth to a male child, then she shall be unclean 7 days. As in the days of her monthly separation, she is unclean. And on the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin is circumcised, and she remains in the blood of her cleansing 33 days. She does not touch whatever is set apart, and she does not come into the set apart place until the days of her cleansing are completed. But if she gives birth to a female child, then she shall be unclean for 2 weeks, as in her monthly separation. And she remains in the blood of her cleansing for 66 days. And when the days of her cleansing are completed, for a son or for a daughter, she brings to the priest a lamb a year old as an ascending offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove as a sin offering to the door of the tent of appointment. And he shall bring it before YaHuWaH and make atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the flood of her blood. This is the Torah for her who has given birth to a male or a female. And if she is not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one as an ascending offering and the other as a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for her, and she shall be clean.
Good.
Good.
So let's talk about it, okay?
Yeah.
You know, we talk a lot about this before the broadcast.
We share our.
So let's do it here in front of everybody.
Yeah.
What you have to share.
Well,
you can start. You know, you were reading, so you can start sharing.
Yeah. Well, it called my attention the period of time that, well, the first week that she is not clean. Then the why is being brought the topic of the circumcision in the middle. It called my attention. Well, I think that is because she's going to be also in that period with the baby and everything. Mm-hmm. So is the time that she's going to be making this one, and also starting to do then all the cleansing process. Mm-hmm. And what called my attention is why for you is so always is like the benefit when it's male is, I don't know, is a shorter time, and it looks like a difference, like
because Adam was created first. That's why.
Yeah, you were sharing that with me. And also what we were saying is like this moment, why is considered that the woman is unclean when she has given birth? Why? The process in itself is something that is not clean. What is that? It's a sin. Let's
clarify this right.
It was like a kind of question.
Yeah. So being unclean is definitely not a sin.
Okay.
It's a status. It's a situation. And specific
condition.
a condition, exactly, that's the word. It's a condition of the being, of the body, in a specific period of time. But it's not a sin. Actually, we were talking about this in previous chapters, especially in the chapter 5, and also we touched base on the same on the chapter 7, that when that condition to be unclean becomes a sin, is when being unclean, we approach kadosh things, set apart matters.
And that's why they are telling that in this period she is not to approach.
Yeah, exactly. So even if it is written, and we were discussing this, and I was inviting all of you to take a look in a video in the virtual house church we did in 2021, I think, when Jake Grant was bringing this topic from the Targums. And we managed to even to confirm all of this in the chapter 7 of this book of YaHuWaH Leviticus, is that uncleanness become a sin when we touch something that is set apart or approach something that is set apart. And even though that we don't know that we are in an unclean condition, and we touch, and we get to the understanding later on in time that we approach a set apart matter being unclean,
then
at that moment
we're guilt.
we are guilt.
We're
Exactly.
guilty. Yeah.
So unclean is not a sin. Just to clarify it. So the point is that all this portion, and this chapter 12 is talking about giving birth. Why giving birth is considered unclean? Because this is, if we summarize the entire chapter, this is what it's talking about. A woman giving birth is becoming unclean, and actually the period of cleansing is longer in case of a female and shorter in case of a man. But at the end, in the bottom line, is that it's an unclean process.
Yeah.
So why is an unclean process? And maybe we should dig in more in this.
Yeah. We were saying that that is because blood is related in all the process. Is being shed in the process of giving birth.
Exactly. So I have a few passages here that maybe we should go and try to understand.
Go to the beginning.
And let's go to the beginning. So let's go to Bereshit.
With the first one.
And let's go to chapter 4. And let's read verse 10 and 11. And this is actually, let's go let's do it in the other way around. Let's go first to the same book, to YaHuWaH, Leviticus, to the chapter 17, and the verse 11. It says the following: for the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the slaughter place, the Mizbeach, the altar, to make atonement for your lives. For it is the blood that makes atonement for the life. So we see the connection using just the word of YaHuWaH, that the blood is something really important. He created us with blood, and life is in the blood. This is exactly plain text, is what is written. So what's happening during birth is basically shedding of blood. This is not an intentional thing, but the process itself includes the shedding of blood. So blood is, and actually I just saw, it's blood and water, and this is really interesting because of what is written here in the last chat from first last on Mashiach.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic. So it's a natural process of shedding of blood, and if we consider the blood, life is in the blood, it's basically doing exactly what we are gonna do. We are gonna read in the book of Bereshit, chapter 4, verse 10 and 11. It says, and this is the story of the two brothers, the first two brothers of the world. It says, and he said, what you have done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. And now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. And you know, now we didn't talk about this previously, but it is interesting that it's a commandment in the Word, and I don't remember if we already saw it and we read about it in the previous portions, is that blood, we need to drop it to the soil in the earth, and we need to cover it with earth.
Because it's from there.
So yes, it's connected to what exactly what we're talking now. Life is on the blood, and we were created from the soil, from the earth. So you know what was brought from Abba was just the ruach, but everything else was created from the earth, meaning that blood is also coming from the earth, from the soil. And this is exactly what we're reading here in the book of Bereshit, is that the earth opened the mouth in order to receive the blood of Hebel. So what's the point that we want to make is that during birth is the shedding of blood, life is on the blood. So basically, and this is really interesting because it's bringing life into the world, and at the same time it's like shedding blood that is being considered somehow is removing somebody's life.
Well, yeah.
And in this case, you know, this is really interesting because it's the blood of the woman. It's like the woman dying,
in some
removing
aspect.
part of her life
in
some
aspect,
way.
Yeah. And I also was interested in the aspect that is a moment of a lot of fragile, how can I say, that is a condition that is very near a near-death experience, because we can see some other cases where it was a birth-related, that the mother passed away or the child couldn't make it. Sometimes we have also that risk. So it's a moment when you are very near to death, and to a process of maybe returning to the earth. So I think that also that is the condition why is considered that we are in an unclean moment, because then we are going to read with the rest that some diseases also are taking us into that path, getting closer to a death status. So the idea is that we are going to be a living creature, that we are going to receive life, an eternal life. So this is like the punishment that Adam and Hawa, they received when they were being taken out of the garden.
Yeah, exactly. There is another aspect that we were talking before that is interesting. Why, if we understand, you know, the entire process of giving birth is bringing life, and it's part of the commandment that one of the first commandments that YaHuWaH gave to Adam and Hawa, or Adam and Eve, is to be fruitful and to multiply and to fill the earth. This is exactly what he said in the garden. So why this process of giving birth somehow is including the shedding of blood, the blood of the woman? That basically this, from my point of view, is making the entire process an unclean process. And I think somehow, in my view, is connected to what happened in the garden. So let's go and we are already there in the chapter 3 of the book of Bereshit. And if we go to the fall of Adam and Hawa, and this is exactly, we know the entire story, what happened, and we know that YaHuWaH brought some curses over everybody, even over the earth, because of what happened. But specifically to the woman, he said the following. It says in the verse 16, to the woman he said, I greatly increase your sorrow and your conception. Bring forth children in pain, and your desire is for your husband, and he does rule over you.
maybe before, I don't know, the conception or the birth was going to be something different. She was going to be sleeping, and then a baby appeared. Oh, nice here. No pain at all.
But
so maybe.
You know what is implying in this wording, what YaHuWaH is implying in the way that it's written.
It is a suffering.
It's a suffering. It's pain, and not always, but most of the time, pain somehow is connected to blood. You know, we were using the example. I cut my finger yesterday with a knife, and a lot of blood came out. I'm still suffering with pain.
Poor you.
Yes, and you know, I was using this example for everything that we are talking now. Is that you know, pain was including blood.
Yeah.
So maybe this is exactly what YaHuWaH was doing with this curse over the woman when he's talking about pain, that the process was going to be painful, including the shedding of her own blood. And this is a theory, but it's a theory that I felt internally that is very close, and that's why the entire process became an unclean process, only because of the blood and connected to the curse because of sin. I don't know if you want to add something to that.
Well, it says that the woman in that period of time cannot enter or approach to the set apart place. And remember that we were discussing this?
Let's read it because I think it's
was
important.
very nice.
Yeah, if we read the book of Jubilees, Jubilees. Now I have my copy from the Hallelujah Scriptures. And if we go to the chapter 3 of the book of Jubilees, we are going to read it entirely, so I think it's interesting there.
It's like
yes, and
complementary.
it's interesting content and the way that it's being described here. I'm going to read from the verse 8 onward. Chapter 3, verse 8 from the book of Jubilees. I don't have it in the screen, so I'm going to read it for you. So it says the following. In the first week, Adam was created, and the rib, his wife, it's interesting, it's calling the wife a rib. So if you want to start calling your wife a rib, you know, somehow the word is allowing you to do that. So, and the rib, his wife, in the second week, he showed her to him. And for this reason, the command was given to keep in their defilement. For a male, 7 days, and for a female, twice 7 days. So somehow here in the book of Jubilees is connected what we're reading in this portion about the difference of being a male or a female. And just to the parenthesis, not like everybody's saying now that we cannot talk about male and female is is neutral.
Yeah, it's not neutral.
No, it's not neutral. It's female and male. It's because of the way that they were created. Adam was created in the first week, and YaHuWaH was created in the second one. So let's continue reading, and it says, and after Adam had completed 40 days in the land where he had been created, we brought him into the Garden of Eden to till and keep it. But his wife they brought in on the 80th day, and after this she entered into the Garden of Eden. And for this reason the command is written on the tablets of the Shemayim, in regard to her that gives birth. If she brings forth a male, she shall remain in her uncleanness 7 days according to the first week of days. And 33 days she shall remain in the blood of her purifying. And she shall not touch any kodesh matter, any set-apart matter, nor enter into the mikdash, the tabernacle, or the set-apart place, until she accomplishes these days which are commanded in the case of a male child. So somehow in this book, we see a connection, a direct connection to what happened at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Let's continue. It says, but in the case of a female child, she shall remain in her uncleanness 2 weeks of days, according to the first 2 weeks, and 66 days in the blood of her purification, and they shall be 80 days in all. And when she had completed these 80 days, we brought her into the Garden of Eden, for it is more Kodesh than all the earth besides, and every tree that is planted in it is Kodesh. Therefore, there was ordained regarding her who brings forth a male or a female child, the law of those days that she should touch no Kodesh matter, nor enter into the Mikdash, until these days for the male or female child are accomplished. This is the Torah and witness, which was written down for Israel, in order that they should observe it forever. So this is the witness in the book of Jubilees, and it's really interesting because somehow it's totally connected to Tazria, the portion that we are reading today, to the chapter 12 of the book of Jubilees. And I think it's reinforcing the idea of all of these right rulings, hukim, these mitzvot, these commandments are related to being clean in order to approach set apart matters, is to approach YaHuWaH. And one thing that we were able to correlate, and it's so beautiful, is that Adam and Hawa, they were created outside the Garden of Eden. You know, my very beginnings, I thought that they were created in the Garden of Eden until I started to really study the Word, and I realized that they were created outside the garden. And in one moment, you know, if we read the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, we can find the same, that in one moment they were brought inside the garden. And the beautiful thing of this chapter in the book of Jubilees is that it's confirming that the Garden of Eden was considered the most set apart place.
And it's there that YaHuWaH was walking with them.
YaHuWaH was walking with them in the most set apart place. And, you know, if we fast forward in time, what is being considered the most set apart place? Is in the tabernacle, where the ark is and where his presence was going to dwell. So who was the one able to approach this? It was the Kohen Gadol, or the high priest. And how was the condition or the requirement for him to approach that place?
To be clean.
Is to be clean. And that's why they needed to offer the sin offering and all this process during Yom HaKippurim. And also they need to wash their hands and their feet in order to be clean. And let's remember that we have been discussing that only the Kohanim, only the priests were the one allowed to be inside the tabernacle, even the courtyard where the altar was established.
Yeah, the common people were outside.
So all this process that we see here in Adam and Hawa is that they needed to wait until they were clean in order to approach the set apart place of the Garden of Eden, the Kodesh HaKodeshim, or the Kadosh HaKodeshim, the way that we want to mention it in Hebrew. Now this is a beautiful picture that we were reading, because at that point, it's my belief, at the beginning, everything was pure before the fall. Everything was clean. Everything was tahor in Hebrew. And, you know, in this model, if we follow the parallel, if the Garden of Eden was the most set apart place, it means that everything outside, basically the entire creation, was the Kodesh place, where the Kohanim were allowed to be. Even where the menorah was set, where the altar of incense, and even the outside courtyard was also, you know, if the Garden of Eden was the most set apart place, the Kodesh HaKodeshim, all the rest of creation was Kodesh, was set apart. So everything was clean. But after the fall, you know, we see all the curses that YaHuWaH set upon even the earth. So
the only place that were kept set apart was Eden, because he protected with cherubim, using swords, with flaming swords.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this condition of being tahor on the entire creation was lost because of sin entered into the world
and into our bodies.
Exactly. So that's why using this parallel and having this understanding also, beside what we have been talking about, the blood making it unclean, also because of the curse over the woman, that maybe that's why it's also the process unclean. If we understand that now, every time that we are bringing a child into the world, this child is a pure being, but it's coming into an unclean place.
Yeah.
And there is a scripture that I think is in the book of Micha in Hebrew, that is making, YaHuWaH is making a rhetoric question somehow. And he's
to the priest.
He's asking the priest, he's testing somehow the priest, the understanding of the priest. And he's asking that what would happen if a set apart matter, a kodesh thing, is touching an unclean thing. If it will continue clean or it will become unclean.
And they said that it's going to be defiled.
It's going to be defiled. It's going to be unclean. So here we have the answer. A clean being that is coming to the world, touching an unclean place, is going to become unclean because sin is in the flesh. Sin is everywhere. And in the other way around, and this has been the problem of Catholic Church and religion overall, is that if an unclean and a defiled thing is touching a set apart thing, if it's gonna become unclean or will remain defiled, it will remain defiled. So that's the answers that we see in the book of Micha, I think. So what's the point that I want to make? Is that even though that there's a pure being, a new child being born, is coming to an unclean place. That's why, I do believe that this entire process is unclean, and that's why YaHuWaH has been defining a process for becoming tahor, becoming clean, with what purpose? You remember we were discussing?
So we can enter again to his presence.
Exactly. If we and this was something that we were talking about. If we think in the entire process of the tabernacle, the Mishkan, even the temple later on, what was the entire process? Why YaHuWaH wanted to have a tabernacle in the wilderness? Why he wanted to have a temple later on?
To be with us. Or to
be with us, but what was the condition for us to be with us?
To be clean.
The condition, that place needed to be clean. That's why, he set the boundaries of a specific piece of land, and he put in front of us a set of commandments that we have been reading about this throughout the portions, that in order for this place to be clean, to be pure, in order to be kodesh, set apart, because he's not going to dwell in an unclean place. And last week we were reading about this. Is that even in the New Jerusalem, when the kingdom is going to be established here on earth, the unclean things are not going to be able to enter through the gates. Nothing impure is going to be able to live and get into that place, because he's looking to live and dwell in a clean place. So basically, just connecting everything I have been saying, everything at the beginning was clean, with the Garden of Eden being the most set apart place. Later on, everything became unclean, with the protection of the set apart place that was protected, and it didn't become unclean. Now YaHuWaH wants to dwell among us, and that's why he established a specific place with the specific commandments, in order to make sure that that place was going to be kept pure, and he dwelled in that place, because he's looking for a specific place, no matter that everything around that place is unclean, that particular place is a clean place, and that's why all the right rulings and the commandments for the Kohanim, the priest, were so specific, because they were the one approaching that place, being inside that place. So they needed to be pure, they needed to be clean, they needed to be kodesh, they needed to be set apart in order not to contaminate that place. And that's why, later on when he's bringing his restoration and his kingdom, he's going to be the one taking care of cleansing everything through fire in order to start all over again in a clean place. And most probably, and this was what we were discussing, maybe at that time, giving birth is going to become once again a clean process where no pain nor cursed is going to be over it. And most probably it's not going to be needed to be considered an unclean condition.
You know what else caught my attention? It was the similitude of the 80 days that a woman, if she has a girl, is going to be 80 days. And then she can approach. And I was thinking about if you said the 80, well, it's not directly, but it's like the 8,000 years. Because it's going to be after, from the moment that the creation, then the millennium, then the renewal, and then it's going to be like when he's going to open everything, so or to recreating everything is going to be clean again. So it's like that comparison that we, like the people and everybody in general, are considering like a girl maybe that was born, that we need that period of time to be cleansed. From the moment of the creation, we're going to be just able to enter after those 8,000 years.
Absolutely. So, having this understanding, let's see a parallel in the birth of Yahushua, or Messiah, or Mashiach, our King, our Melech. I'm trying to repeat the word that I know in Hebrew and also in English, just to share what we have been learning, so you can start learning some Hebrew words as well. I'm not a Hebrew speaker. I just know some phrases and some words. But I think it's beautiful when we learn these words, just it's connecting us even more to the word of YaHuWaH and to the origins. So don't get lost when I'm saying words in Hebrew. It's just with the intention that you can learn a few words in the same way that I have been learning. So that's why I'm doing it in Hebrew and also in English. So let's talk about Yahushua, our Mashiach, our Messiah. Let's go to the book of Luke. This is in the chapter 2, and we're going to read from verse 21. You want to read it?
Okay. Yeah.
There we have.
And when 8 days were completed for him to be circumcised, his name was called Yahushua, the name given by the messenger before he was conceived in the womb. And when the days of her cleansing, according to the Torah of Moshe, were completed, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to YaHuWaH. As it has been written on the Torah of YaHuWaH, every male who opens the womb shall be called set apart to YaHuWaH. And to give an offering according to what is said in the Torah of YaHuWaH, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. And see, there was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Shimon, and this man was righteous and dedicated, looking for the coming of Israel.
The comforting
of Israel. And the set-apart spirit was upon him.
And let's keep it until there, because it's just to understand what was the process and the entire thing. So we see here Miriam and Joseph
And they took the
following destruction.
yeah.
And let's keep in mind that the Joseph is being, or Yahusef, is being considered in the same word as a righteous man.
Yeah.
What it means to be a righteous man in Hebrew is tzaddik. It's to be tzaddik. A tzaddik one is the one that is
following Torah.
Exactly. Is living according to the instructions of Torah, not deviating to the left or to the right. So this was Joseph, and you know, I have always thought that maybe Yahushua played an important role in the life of Yahushua, because you know, YaHuWaH decided to choose Joseph because he saw it's something similar to what happened with Noah. With Noah, that YaHuWaH saw Noah as the only righteous man on earth. So maybe it was something similar. It's not written, it's just my thought. Maybe YaHuWaH saw Joseph as a tzaddik, a righteous man with a pure heart. That's why he decided that he was the one in charge of raising Yahushua as a kid.
On his behalf. Yeah.
Exactly. So, understanding that Joseph was a righteous man, there was no doubt that they were going to follow Torah completely. They were going to be righteous by following and keeping the commandment of YaHuWaH, even in this case of the birth of Yahushua himself. And it's a beautiful picture, because, you know, if we connect to what we were saying before, and we understand that being unclean is not a sin, it's a condition. You know, Yahushua came to an unclean place. So that's why it's important. That's what is the way that it's written, is that the blood of her purification, this entire process of 33 days or 66 days is a purification process. And one thing that I have written down here, if you remember, that the concept in Hebrew of cleanness or clean, pure, the word is tahor. And impure or defiled is tameh. And once we heard an important information or concept, that more than being pure or being defiled, we can use some synonym, and for pure is to be balanced, and for being defiled is to be unbalanced. And this is beautiful, because you know, it's just like music. Music, if you are not in the same tune,
it's going to
sound like noise.
Yeah.
So in order to sound like music, it needs to be at the same frequency, it needs to be at the same tune. The same we know, just using another example with technology, we use a television or a radio. We need to tune in the specific frequency in order to be able to listen to the broadcast. If we are not in the same frequency, we are gonna hear only noise. So the same thing is with being tahor or being tameh. If being tahor is mean that we are gonna be balanced, is that we are gonna be tuning in the same frequency of YaHuWaH.
It's going to be complete.
Exactly. That's why, because we are tuning in the same frequency of him, we are going to be able to approach him, because we are working all together with the same rhythm, with the same music, instead of bringing noise to the place. Every time that we are bringing noise to a quiet place, it's not good. We're bringing beautiful music. You know, it's bringing and keeping the peace of the place. So tameh, defilement, in the other case, in the other end, is basically being not being tuning in the same frequency. It's bringing noise. So why I mention this, because sometimes it's difficult to understand what YaHuWaH is looking for. Why is being pure or being defiled? If we look into this terminology using these examples, it's much easier to see why and what YaHuWaH is looking for. So coming back to what we're reading here, so Yahushua came to a defiled place, the world, and through this process, Miriam came defiled as we were reading, and she was in the process of purification. At the end, when she became pure again or balanced again, all of them were able to approach the set apart place in order to present Yahushua. And it's beautiful because they are also completing another commandment, that every man who opens the womb shall be called set apart of YaHuWaH. They were presenting Yahushua in order to be set apart. Okay.
And it's very good that you maybe clarify this, because when we were discussing, there was with this problem in my head, because it says at the 8th day he was circumcised and everything, and in no place it says that the circumcision is being done in the set apart place. So these are two separate steps. And we know from the medical point of view that the circumcision is being made on the 8th day, and it's very beautiful because it's when the human being, the specific every human being, is the lowest point that they are going to have. I don't know how is this. They can make how can the healing is they have a protein or something like that in the blood that is in the lowest point. So they are not going to have a blood. They're going to heal more easy. So that's also beautiful that everything has a cycle. Everything it's coming from Abba, with more. And now we can understand that because we have studied all this. But before, they have to do it just because it was the 8th day. But now we understand that there is a lot of even scientific proof that is the best day during all their life, that they are going to suffer less, and it's going to be a better healing.
Let me attend one of the one question that I saw here from the Mrs. Vader, I think, is that she's asking about what I said about if it's going to be childs on the New Jerusalem. And I'm going to speak on what is my current understanding. I do believe that it's going to be different type of natures of human beings during the 1,000 years of YaHuWaH. We need to understand that during that kingdom of the 1,000 years, current people of these times will remain. Actually, it is written all over the place in the world, in the word of YaHuWaH, is that they will need to come to Jerusalem in order to offer the praises to the king and also to participate in the feasts. It is written in the book of Zechariah, and so on. In the same way, I do believe that the New Jerusalem is going to be a special place. It's like the Garden of Eden. It's going to be the most set apart place of the entire world. And Israel, if we see and we compare to the pattern of the tabernacle or the pattern of the temple, is that we had the most set apart place, the set apart place, and the outside. So what I do believe is going to happen is that the New Jerusalem is going to be the most set apart place. Israel is going to be the set apart place, and the rest of the world is going to be the courtyard.
And there are different people who can be in different...
That's the point. It's going to be different people living in each one of these places. So the promise for Israel is going to be to live in the land. And who's going to be Israel? Everybody that is going to be resurrected. Okay? Resurrected or transformed. But there are going to remain few people living on the earth with and I should mention this. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I have been thinking for a while, is to put a study together and to talk about the transhumanism, and I'm gonna call it in this way. And I don't know when I'm gonna be able to do it, because believe me, my time and you are my witness. My weeks have been horrible in terms of time consuming. But I would like to title this study Transhumanism and the Real Human 2.0. And what it's going to be about is exactly what I'm talking now, is that it's going to be a kind of superhuman, if I want to put it in a simple words, living during those days.
When somebody is resurrected.
Exactly. It's going to be a different type of human, but the current human being, some of them are going to remain during that period of time.
Yeah, and it says that are going to still be healing. So why still going to be healing is because some people are going to be still in the process.
Exactly. So having prepared the ground for the answer with all of this is that I don't know yet the full answer to the question of the Mrs. Bader. But I do believe, because it was the first commandment, as I said before, to Adam and Hawa, is that they needed to fill the earth. YaHuWaH is looking for his seed to be multiplied on the earth. And this is a special seed, we know this. And even it's written, I think it's in the book of Isaiah, Yeshayahu, I don't remember exactly how it is written, is that the child is going to die with 100 years. So he's talking about child, and they're going to live longer. So new childs are going to be born during the 1,000 years of the kingdom of YaHuWaH.
And he mentioned that it's not going to be miscarriage. So it's not going to be any miscarriage, it's because we're going to have birth.
Now, if this childbearing is going to happen in the outer of Israel, or it's going to happen within Israel, or it's going to happen in the New Jerusalem, I don't have a concrete answer to that. What I can say is that new childs are going to be born during the 1,000 years of YaHuWaH. That's absolutely true. But we don't know if new childs are going to be born in the New Jerusalem, that is a set apart place. I don't know if it's going to be childs bearing in the outside Jerusalem, but inside Israel. I can tell you what I feel in my heart, that I do think that there are going to be new childs born in Israel. Maybe we are not going to see new childs being born in New Jerusalem. I don't know. But in Israel, for sure. And in the rest of the world, definitely. Because that was the desire of YaHuWaH from the very beginning. And I hope that you know what I'm saying is bringing somehow clarity to what she's looking for.
But all those mysteries are going to be revealed.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be revealed in one point or the other. So let's continue. You know, I have a few notes from the past here that I want to bring also. It's a theory of mine that is interesting. And for those of you that had the chance to take a look in the study that I did in the past about the last days, you have not done it, I will invite you to take a look. It's a long one. It's how many? It's 13 videos.
Yeah, something like that.
And most of the videos is lasting 2 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
Or maybe less. So it's a lot of time, I know, but it's a time worth invested. So if you have not seen those studies, I will invite you to do it. It's in the channel here. So in one of the studies, I think it was in the chapter 12, I was presenting the case using a lot of reference and witnesses from the word of YaHuWaH that Jerusalem is our mother. And even Jerusalem is not only our mother, it is also the mother of Yahushua. And then there is a lot of reference that I don't have the time to go in all of that here in this video. That's why I will invite you to go ahead and check those studies. Is that if we understand that Jerusalem is a mother, is the mother of us all, is written in the book of Galatians. She being a mother needs to go through the same process of cleansing. as we have been reading here in this portion. And if we connect the dots between the book of Isaiah, Yeshayahu, and the book of Revelation, chapter 12, when we put all of them together in order to see the full picture of what YaHuWaH is trying to teach us, we see that the woman of Revelation 12 is bringing forth a child that is going to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. This is the way that it's written. And we know that this is a direct reference to Yahushua, the Messiah. But if we go to the book of Isaiah, I don't remember the chapter, I think it's 60 or 66, we see a woman that is bringing forth without being in labor.
And it says that a lot of children.
And then when she came in labor pain, she will bring the children. So basically, the first child without being in labor, and second, the brothers of this first child, when she started being in labor pain. So these are direct reference. I go in all the details on that study. That's why I'm insisting, if you have not watched it, go ahead, just for you to understand what I'm trying to say now and to share now. So if we understand all of this process, is that the New Jerusalem was bringing forth Mashiach 2,000 years ago. The New Jerusalem is going to be in pain, labor pain in these times, and going to bring forth the rest of the children, the brothers.
So that are
that she needed to go through the process of cleansing.
And those are the 144,000?
No, more than that.
More than...
Yes, more than that. So having this in mind, let me put some passages here in front of you just to understand what the point that I want to make in connection to the portion of today about the giving birth and uncleanness because of the blood and everything that we have been talking about so far. So let's go to the book of Ezekiel, Yehezkel. Let's go to the chapter 22 and let's read verse 1 and 4. Can you read it?
Yeah, the 1 to 4. 1 to 4. And the word of YaHuWaH came to me, saying, And now, son of man, judge the city of blood, and you shall show her all her abominations, and you shall say, Thus said the Master YaHuWaH, the city sheds blood in her midst, that her time might come, and she has made idols within herself to become defiled. You have become guilty by the blood which you have shed, and have defiled yourself with the idols which you have made. Thus you have brought your days near, and have come to the ends of your years. Therefore I shall make you a reproach to the nations, and a mockery to all lands.
So it's talking about which city? If we read this in context, it's talking about Jerusalem. And what is talking about Jerusalem is a city of blood. So it's a city that became unclean because of blood. Okay, let's put another example in the same book.
And the connection with the idols within herself to become defiled.
That's another topic. If we go there, we are going to spend a little more time. Let's focus on what we are connecting to the portion.
Well, an idol is anything that is going to replace YaHuWaH.
Yes, exactly. So the chapter 24, verse 2, it says, Son of man, write down the name of the day, for on this same day the sovereign of Babylon has thrown himself against Jerusalem. So everything here in context is about the Jerusalem. And let's skip and jump to the verse 6 to 8. It says, Therefore thus said the Master YaHuWaH, Woe to the city of blood, to the pot in which there is rust, and whose rust has not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece, on which no lot has fallen. For her blood is in her midst. She has set it on a shining rock. She did not pour it on the ground, to cover it with dust. To stir up wrath and take vengeance. I have set her blood on a shining rock, so that it could not be covered. So again, it's the reference between shedding blood, and let's remember what we said at the beginning about the process of giving birth and shedding blood, and Jerusalem. Let's go again to the chapter 16 of the same book, And this is the verse 2 on the 38. Verse 2, it says, Son of man, make known to Jerusalem her abomination. So the entire chapter 16 is in relation to Jerusalem. This is, keep in mind that this is the connection that we are trying to make. So the verse 38 says the following. And I shall judge you, basically, just to change, I shall judge you, Jerusalem, with judgments of adulteresses and shedders of blood. And I shall bring on you the blood of wrath and jealousy. So judgment because of blood. Okay? And let's go to another example in the book of Lamentations, or YaHuWaH. And this is in the chapter 4, and everything related to the book of Lamentation, most of it is in connection to Jerusalem. Okay? In the chapter 4, verse 11 to 13, it says, you want to read it?
Yeah. YaHuWaH has completed his wrath. He has poured out his burning displeasure, and he kindled a fire in Zion, and it consumed her foundations. The sovereigns of the earth did not believe, nor any of the inhabitants of the world, that an adversary, an enemy, would enter the gates of Jerusalem. It was because of the sin of her prophets, the crookedness of her priests, who shed in her midst the blood of the righteous.
So the shedding of the blood, bringing contamination, bringing defilement, and so on. But there is a promise from YaHuWaH, and this is in the book of Isaiah, Yeshayahu, chapter 4, and we are going to read from verse 4 to verse 6. Here, you want to read it?
Okay. When YaHuWaH has washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and rinsed away the blood of Jerusalem from her midst, by the spirit of judgment, and by the spirit of burning, then YaHuWaH shall create above every dwelling place of Mount Zion, and above her gatherings, a cloud and a smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For over all the steam shall be a covering, and a booth for shade in the daytime from the heat, for a place of refuge, and for a shelter from storm and rain. Wow.
And it's a beautiful promise. And actually, you just read by the spirit of burning. And you remember a few weeks ago, we were talking about the baptism, the immersion in the fire. So he's bringing purification. And we will read a little bit about this in the next chapter, about the purification through fire. So he's bringing purification over Jerusalem through fire, but what purpose? And the purpose is written in the verse 4. The purpose is to wash away the filth, is the defilement of the daughter of Zion, and it says, and rinsed away the blood of Jerusalem. So the promise that he was going to bring cleanness once again.
But you can imagine and see here like the same image from the Exodus, when they were guided by the fire and the cloud.
Correct. Yeah. So what's the point that I wanted to make? And again, I said this is a theory of mine, and I will share it with you after setting the ground with everything we have been saying. Let me summarize. Jerusalem being a mother, Jerusalem bringing forth Mashiach 2,000 years ago, which will bring also forth more childs later. During this giving birth process, is uncleanness, though she wasn't clean from the past either. So it is written in the chapter 12, verse 4 of this portion in Leviticus, YaHuWaH. It says, she remains in the blood of her cleansing 33 days. So after the 33 days, that woman that gave birth will become clean again. So, if we look into the book of Ezekiel, when Ezekiel was commanded by YaHuWaH to lie in one side for the 300 and something days, and to the other side for 40 days, and it was saying that the understanding of that action is that it was going to be a day for a year, just to understand the punishment over the two houses. So if we understand this, one day for a year, and it was 33 days for the cleansing, and it's a day for a year, it means 33 years. And it is known and understood that Yahushua, before giving his life, was during his life was during a period of time of 33 years. And at the age of 33, his life was cut off. And what was the purpose of his offering? Was to bring cleansing, as to bring atonement for the life. He being the rightful Kohen Gadol under the order of Melchizedek, giving his own life to bring cleansing over everybody, but also somehow over his mother, Jerusalem. So, again, it's a theory of mine, but it's a beautiful picture if we see it in that way. The cleansing that YaHuWaH promised here in this book of Isaiah, chapter 4, verse 4 to 6, somehow being fulfilled, starting to be fulfilled by the offering of her own child on the cross, in order to bring cleansing to her and to the entire world. Again, theory of mine, I could be totally wrong, but I see it as a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
That's it, I think.
Yeah, circumcision. We were talking about circumcision as well. You know, let's touch base on this. You know, about the circumcision, and I think it is a beautiful picture as well. If we go to the book of Shemot, Exodus, let's go to chapter 19, and we have been talking this time to time about what is our purpose, why we have been being called out of the world by YaHuWaH. What's the reason? What's the purpose of Israel? You know, and this is something interesting. You know, most of the people that doesn't believe in YaHuWaH, they don't realize why is so much focus on Israel. Why is the chosen people? It's chosen for what? Why not to choose other people? And my understanding and my belief is because Israel has a purpose, and a specific purpose, and we are going to read it here. It's a specific purpose in the entire creation. You know, everybody is going to be able to get into the covenant, I do believe. But Israel, and I think that we see the pattern in Israel, just to understand the big picture, Israel will play on a specific topic that it is written here. You know, it's in the chapter 19 of Exodus, Shemot in Hebrew, verse 5 and 6, it says, "And now, if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the peoples. For all the earth is mine." You know, somehow he's touching base exactly on what I said. You know, all the earth is mine, but you are going to be so special, my treasured possession, only if you obey my voice. Obedience all over the place. And guard the covenant. You know, that's obedience basically. Obey his voice in order to guard his covenant. And what's the process? What is the promise? What it means to be a treasured possession. And you shall be, to me, a reign, a kingdom of priests, and a set-apart nation. Those are the words which you are to speak to the children of Israel. So, what's the purpose of Israel in the entire world? And let me put the pattern first. If we look into Israel, the 12 tribes, there wasn't a specific tribe, the tribe of Levi, that were chosen by YaHuWaH
to be priest,
to be descendants and to be part of the priests. Actually, the priests are coming also from the tribe of Levi, though they're coming from a specific lineage of Aaron. But all of them were the Levites. So they were being chosen by YaHuWaH instead of the firstborn, that the firstborn were the one being chosen at the very beginning. And I think that's going to be at the end too. That's why there are 144,000. But that's another topic. So we see this pattern of one specific tribe among many others being set apart to serve YaHuWaH. And what was the purpose of that service? We read about it last week or the previous one.
To teach.
Is to teach.
And to
is
teach,
to guide. Is to judge. Is to bring the right ruling. Is to teach the people about the difference
between clean and unclean.
and between profane and set apart.
Yeah.
What is evil, what is good.
What is good. Yeah.
So this is on a small scale. In a bigger scale, in the entire world, the tribe of Levi, together with the Kohanim, the priest, being represented by Israel. Israel, it is written here, is going to be a nation, a set-apart nation of priests, kings. With what purpose? Is to serve YaHuWaH. And what purpose, if we compare to the priests, is to teach, is to bring light to the world, or light to the nations. And is to teach the difference between clean and unclean, profane and set apart, and so on. So, why I'm bringing this to the discussion is because, you know, it was last week. Yes, the previous 2 weeks we were touching base on the ordination of the Kohanim, and we remember that was a 7 days of cleansing.
Yeah.
During the process of ordination, and in the 8th day, it was the completion.
Yeah.
And what happened?
They could start doing all the work.
And what happened?
What happened with
after the 8th day? What happened?
2 of them. It's something that is
something before that. The manifestation of the presence of YaHuWaH appeared in front of them with fire coming down from heaven. So YaHuWaH himself, that's the important thing. YaHuWaH himself appears to the Kohen and to all the people after the 7-day process. In the 8th day, he did it. So in the 8th day was the completion. And we see here in the process of the boy, 7th day with the mother is the process of uncleanness. And in the 8th day is the circumcision. And in that day, it is written in the case of Mashiach, and I think this is coming from tradition, most probably it was done in that way.
They're given the name.
They're given the name. And what that name means,
well,
especially in the scriptures, not of today.
They're related with their character, with the faith, with where they're going to do in their life.
With a purpose. If we see what we were reading in the book of Luke, you know, YaHuWaH decided what was going to be the name of the child, because in the name was embedded the purpose of Yahushua.
Yahushua, the salvation of
YaHuWaH. Through him are bringing salvation, and salvation through cleansing and forgiveness of sin. So basically, in the 8th day and circumcision, we see the culmination, the completion, the fulfillment of becoming set apart, the purpose of Israel. And you said something about the 8th day when we were talking before. What was that? You remember?
I was saying that what about the 8th day?
The 8th day, the millennium.
I said that is like compared, but with when the woman has a girl, that she has 80 days. So the 80 days, if you took it and you compare it to the 8,000 years, then it's going to be for the rest of the people.
Yeah.
So then it's going to be like complete. Everything is now.
So I do believe in the timeline that is at the end of the 7th day, and I think I was talking about this last week. That's my current understanding. Is that at the end of the 7th day, millennium day talking, is going to bring the fire in order to purify the entire world. And in the 7th day, in the 8th day is the new beginning. So the parallel here with the circumcision is exactly the same. Maybe circumcision in this case, it was to bring cleanness
of the seed.
That's why they were doing the circumcision on the 8th day in the same way in the pattern of the Kohanim, in order to bring cleanness. And that's exactly what's going to happen at the end. Fire coming down to the earth in order to clean everything is a new beginning, a new world, a new earth, a new heaven. So I mean, I see those connections. Should we continue?
Yeah, because if not, we're going to end tomorrow.
Yeah, though to be honest, I don't have too much to share in the chapter 13. So
but it has something interesting.
it has something interesting. Yep.
Two aspect of interest. Yeah.
Yep. So
Now it's your turn to read.
Yeah, I know. I need to read the 59 verses. That's okay. So it says the following: And YaHuWaH spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, when a man has on the skin of his body a swelling, scab, or a bright spot, and it shall become on the skin of his body like a leprosy infection, then he shall be brought to Aaron the priest, or to one of his sons the priests. And the priest shall look at the infection on the skin of the body, and if the hair of the infection has turned white, and the infection appears to be deeper than the skin of his body, it is a leprosy infection. And the priest shall look at him and pronounce him unclean. So before we continue, you want to mention what was your understanding about the leprosy here?
Well, for me, the words leprosy, maybe it was translate, but for me it's a kind of infection in general, because we are going to see different infection with different diseases or causes.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one is a swelling, a swelling, a scab or bright spot.
So more than talking about the specific illness of leprosy,
that we know today, because that is something different.
Your understanding is that it's talking about general, it's talking about the infections
that you can
infections
see,
in general.
That you can see
in
the skin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I tend to
maybe in the past they call
agree.
leprosy to everything that is related to the
I
skin.
tend to agree with what you're saying, because when we are going to read all the description here, is talking about the different type.
Yeah.
So
different causes.
It's more related to infections in general.
The symptoms that you can see with your eye.
Correct.
Yeah.
So let's continue reading. Verse 4. But if the bright spot is white on the skin of his body, and does not appear to be deeper than the skin, and its hair has not turned white, then the priest shall shut up the infected one 7 days.
And that's
so if my beard is becoming white, I should be concerned?
No. It says, but if the bright spot.
Okay. It's not anything.
No.
Okay.
It's a
it needs
spot.
to be a spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have I don't know the name in English, but you have a swelling, I don't know.
Okay. So let's continue. And the priest shall look at him on the 7th day and see if the infection appears to be as it was, and the infection has not spread on the skin. Then the priest shall shut him up another 7 days.
You see? Cycles of 7.
Yep, that's true. Interesting. Because of what I have been studying about the calendar, the cycle of 7. And the priest shall look at him again on the 7th day and see if the infection has darkened and the infection has not spread on the skin. Then the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is a scab, and he shall wash his garment and be clean. But if the scab is spread further over the skin after he has been seen by the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen by the priest again. And the priest shall look and see. If the scab has spread on the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is leprosy. When the infection of leprosy is on a man, then he shall be brought to the priest. The interesting thing here is that the priests were serving as
the doctor that we call today. Yeah.
It's doctor, yeah. They were they were the wise men.
Yeah.
They were the doctors. They were the servants in the temple. They were the butchers. Somehow.
Yeah. But a lot of profession they're coming from the priest. Maybe they have to do all this kind of stuff, but at some point maybe they stop doing it, and then or some other people they wanted to do the same, and they were stealing that.
It is interesting because they needed to know. They needed to have multiple skills to know everything. Maybe they were not specific expert in one area. They have skills in multiple areas. When somebody is developing skills, sometimes focusing in just one specific area, and he becomes an expert.
Yeah.
there are other type of people
that knows a lot of
knows
something
a lot of
from this,
areas, not becoming an expert, but having the enough
basic
skills,
knowledge of everything.
and not necessarily basic, but having enough skills in order to be good in what they're doing. Not becoming an expert and not to be the greater one, but having knowledge in multiple areas. So that's interesting. So, and that was the Kohanim, they were doing a lot of things. So let's continue. And the priest shall look and see if the swelling on the skin is white, and it has turned the hair white, and there is a spot of raw flesh in the swelling. It is an old leprosy on the skin of his body. And the priest shall pronounce him unclean. He does not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if leprosy breaks out all over the skin, and the leprosy shall cover all the skin of the infected one, from his head to his foot, whatever the priest looks, then the priest shall look and see. If the leprosy has covered all his body, he shall pronounce the infected one clean. It has all turned white, he is clean. But the day raw flesh appears on him, he is unclean. So this is a little bit confusing. And this is exactly what we were talking about and reading about. So how to understand that when he is
completely covered by the infection,
covered by the infection, being pronounced clean, when he is completely without infection, he's clean, but when he has a mix, he's pronounced unclean. What are your thoughts?
Well, when I read this, I compare it with what is written in Hasson or Apocalypse, that it says that he rather people to be Revelation. Sorry. Apocalypse is in Spanish. He said, I rather you to be cold or hot,
not to be lukewarm,
but not lukewarm. And I think that is something he preferred, something that is completely in one state. And I think that from the point of view, if you want to select something, if you are selecting some fruit, you are going to see it's going to be much clearer that you are taking all the ripe ones to one side and you are taking the good ones to the other side. So I think that is for selection process. I don't know. True. That's like
I just saw a question from Daniel. All these skin infections were manifestation of sin and disobedience. I think we're going to touch base a little bit on that question. So bear with us a little bit, and we'll talk about that. But I agree with you. I think the only way to understand this chapter, this verse 13, because YaHuWaH hate mixtures. Actually, we remember some of the commandments about sowing the soil. He's saying that we should not do it with a mixture of seeds. It needs to be one seed, not with a mixture. So this is exactly what he doesn't like. What's the reason for that? I don't know. It's coming to my mind now that one of the parable of Mashiach, when he's put this field with wheat, and an enemy came by night and sowed
the bad seed.
The bad seed, I don't remember the name of the seed on English, but the tares, I think. And the servants of the master came, but you're supposed to sow this field with good seed. How come now grow with this bad seed? And the master of the field said, most probably an enemy came and just sowed the seed. And the servants were asking, we should remove it? No, don't remove it. No, because you can't destroy the good seed. So wait for the last time, and you should remove the bad seed, and so on. So that was a parable talking about the kingdom. But if we understand, is basically to the context of what we are discussing, is that he hates, he doesn't like the mixture. We were talking about the mixture of seed, and we have this parable that is talking exactly the same. He was seeding with the good seed. The enemy was seeding with the bad seed. It was a mixture in the soil. he needed to clean it, but he was going to wait till the end in order not to destroy the good seed. So I do believe here is exactly the same as you were explaining. Is the mixture. Is the mixture that he doesn't like. Now, how to understand that a person with a full infection is a clean person and that could be able to approach clean things if we put in the context? I don't have the answer for that. It's something that we need to continue studying even more.
I think that, I don't know, but I think that maybe from the medical point of view, the person while is in this, from going from the unclean, from having a small infection until he's like recovering or not, maybe at that point he's more infectious to the rest of the people.
Yeah.
Maybe when the infection is all over the body, maybe there is so much infection on that person that at that moment he cannot be contagious anymore. Maybe, I don't know. It could be something like that.
Yeah,
because that, I think
it's a mixture of leaven, half true, half lie. It's much difficult to identify. When it's pure lie or pure wrongness, it's much easier to identify. Can you isolate that?
Yeah.
One thing before I forget is that it's interesting, when we talk about how to handle the diseases, and don't talk about this to the World Organization. I don't want to make name the name. We see here the clear instruction in the Word of YaHuWaH how to handle these kind of things, how to do it. Maybe isolate people when they're in an infectious process, in order to protect the rest somehow. So even to that length, the scriptures is helping us to understand even how to handle these type of situations.
Yeah, and what I like about these cycles of 7 is that I think that is kind of you can see the recovery in that period of time. Maybe also like the Shabbat. Shabbat is also a period of healing, a period of I don't know, of recover maybe from something. And I think that cycle is very special for YaHuWaH, for all his process. And we can see that it's very repetitive in all this process of revision.
Absolutely. So let's continue from verse 15. And the priest shall look at the raw flesh and pronounce him to be unclean, and the raw flesh is unclean, it is leprosy. Or when the raw flesh changes and turns white again, he shall come to the priest, and the priest shall look at him and see. If the infection has turned white, then the priest shall pronounce the infected one clean. He is clean. And when the body has a boil in the skin, and this is a different condition, different situation, and just to reinforce what you said at the beginning. And when the body has a boil in the skin and it is healed, and in the place of the boil there comes a white swelling or a bright spot, reddish white, then it shall be seen by the priest, and the priest shall look and see. If it appears deeper than the skin, and its hair has turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy infection which has broken out of the boil. But if the priest looks at it and sees no white hairs in it, and it is not deeper than the skin, but has faded, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And if it has spread further over the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy infection. But if the bright spot stays in its place, it has not spread, it is the scar of the boil, the priest shall pronounce him clean. So again, it's a different type of infection. That is the nature, the origin, how it's starting is different from the first scenario. And here we go with a third scenario.
And also, I think that he is isolated not only for maybe being contagious at that phase, but also maybe because the external agents can make it worse, the situation that he is facing. So maybe that's also something.
Yeah. So let's continue reading. It says, or when the body receives a burn on its skin by fire, and the raw flesh of the burn shall become a bright spot, reddish white or white, Then the priest shall look at it and see. If the hair of the bright spot has turned white, and it appears deeper than the skin, it is leprosy broken out in the burn. And the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy infection. But if the priest looks at it and sees there are no white hairs in the bright spot, and it is not deeper than the skin, but has faded, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And the priest shall look at him on the 7th day. If it spreads further over the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy infection. But if the bright spot stays in its place and has not spread on the skin, but has faded, it is a swelling from the burn. And the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is scarred from the burn. So that's another example.
Yeah, because you're going to have a scar.
Yeah. So everything is started from the being burn. Okay. Different from the other one if you have a boil. So let's continue with the other scenario. And when a man or a woman has an infection on the head or in the beard, and you are laughing because what I said, I'm gonna repeat it. So according to the scripture, woman can have beard. Okay. So
it's not a problem.
Somebody, if some of the sisters has a problem, you don't feel bad. The scripture says that a man or a woman having a problem in the head or in the beard, meaning that we can understand this a woman with beards. Just a joke.
No, but there are some women that have some problem with they have some.
I know. But don't try to shave.
No. That's the worst solution.
Yes. So it says, the 30th, then the priest shall look at the infection and see. If it appears deeper than the skin, and there is thin yellow hair in it, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is an eruption, a leprosy of the head or beard. But when the priest looks at the infection of the eruption and sees that it does not appear deeper than the skin, and there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut up the one with the infection of the eruption 7 days. And on the 7th day the priest shall look at the infection and see. If the eruption has not spread, and there is no yellow hair in it, and the eruption does not appear deeper than the skin, then he shall shave himself, but the eruption he does not shave. And the priest shall shut up the one with the eruption another 7 days. And on the 7th day the priest shall look at the eruption and see. If the eruption has not spread over the skin, and does not appear deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his garment, and he shall be clean. But if the eruption spread further over the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look at him and see. If the eruption has spread over the skin, the priest need not seek for yellow hair. He is unclean. But if the eruption appears to have stayed, and there is black hair grown up in it, the eruption has healed. He is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. So it's interesting because, as we discussed at the beginning, understanding that when it's talking about leprosy is mainly talking about different type of infections. Even it could be related to our hair, our beard, that is coming even with an eruption on the skin. It could be any type of swelling, inflammatory process. It could be anything that the manifestation is in the skin. And I was asking you why YaHuWaH is talking about this skin type of infections
and no other
becoming
kind of diseases,
turning people unclean or clean, and not the other type of diseases that are not being manifested on the skin. And I think it is maybe something that related to the skin that maybe we can talk a little bit about that at the end. So let's continue reading just to read the entire chapter. And when a man or a woman has bright spot on the skin of the body, white bright spots, then the priest shall look and see if the bright spots on the skin of the body are dull white. It is a white spot that grows on the skin. He is clean. And when a man loses the hair of his head, he's bald, he is clean.
So he's bad. He's not,
bad. Yeah.
that is the problem.
But he's clean at least, he's bad, but he's clean.
Yeah. Sorry for you.
And if the hair has fallen from his forehead, he's bald. On the forehead, he's clean. So no matter how type of baldness, he's clean. In this case,
it's not leprosy, it's not an infection.
And that's why I was telling you was the whole reason that he's mentioning in this way in these two verses is because of what is written later below. Yeah. Because there is another type of baldness that is coming from an infection. Yeah. So that's why he's making the differentiation between the natural one and the one
that is related with an infection.
An infection, exactly. So it says, and when there is on the bald head or bald forehead a reddish white infection, it is leprosy breaking out on his bald head or his bald forehead. And the priest shall look at it and see if the swelling of the infection is reddish white on his bald head or on his bald forehead, as the appearance of leprosy on the skin of the body. He is a leprous man, he is unclean. The priest shall pronounce him unclean without fail. His infection is on his head. So
it's like psoriasis. I don't know the name in English, but usually it's like a skin problem.
I didn't tell you this when we were studying the portion, but could it be that this is connected somehow to chemotherapy? How understand? Because people that are going through chemo, they lose their hair.
Yeah, because of the
radiation.
Yeah, the radiation.
But it came to my mind when we were studying this is that I don't know, and just thinking out loud, because he is talking about losing hair, and that process is bringing
that as a
that condition.
Result. Yeah.
Yes, as a result of put yourself in that.
But usually when people they lose the hair because of that, usually they don't have it's like a bald people. They're going to lose, but it's going to be clean.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to be an issue with the like psoriasis or something like that.
Okay, so let's continue. Where am I? Here.
Well, in the skin is the first protection that you have on your body. So that's why I think.
Yes. So we are almost there. So let's read it completely. It says, as for the leper who has the infection, his garments are torn and his head is uncovered, and he has to cover his upper lip and cry, unclean, unclean, tamei, tamei. He is unclean. All the days he has the infection, he is unclean, and he dwells alone. His dwelling place is outside the camp. And this is connected to what we're going to bring in a minute. And when a garment has an infection of leprosy in it, in a woolen garment or in a linen garment, or in the warp or in the weft, or of linen or wool, or in the leather or in any leather work, and the infection shall be greenish or reddish in the garment or in the leather. And you were telling me that in your view, this is related to fungus, right? Yeah.
And well, now you cannot see it maybe so often because now all the clothing almost is artificial. We don't have like natural materials anymore.
Natural material can have the tendency to get infected as well because it's a natural.
Yeah, because they're going to keep the humidity, and I think that in those times it was even worse because they have to put the clothes and everything in bags and clothes and I don't know, boxes and things like that. But now we live in a different I don't know, style where the clothes are put in or stored in a different way.
Yeah. Just to attend something here that I was reading in the past, and if you remember we were reading even before the broadcast, is that maybe one of the reasons that they were covering the lip is because of not spreading the disease. And I was reading,
Yeah, because I was saying, that.
Yes.
Because usually when you speak, some you don't notice, but some drops of your saliva, maybe they could go out.
Instead of using a mask,
And instead of using a mask,
it's
this is
just
the natural mask.
Natural
Yeah.
mask.
So
that,
you're saying that you're not clean, so the other person can know that you have something.
He's just covering the mouth,
Yeah. Well, like,
but he was still breathing normally,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
unlike the mask.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was reading that the leprosy, the illness, leprosy, is not that contagious.
Mm.
You know, you can touch a person, and
Yeah,
because
you're
of
not
touching the
going to.
person, you're not gonna get the leprosy.
Mm.
This is what I was reading in the past, and I have my notes here, and we were checking again. But what could be contagious is when they're coughing or sneezing.
Yeah.
Sneezing because
Yeah.
you're gonna spread it from your mouth.
And when you have a cold, it's the same.
It's the same. So maybe it could be as a natural way of protection. Is that was just why the instruction that they needed to cover the upper lip, because you are somehow shouting and clean, but then not spreading
Yeah.
the disease. And now then clean, I'm gonna touch base on this in a minute. So let's continue reading. In the verse 49, and the infection shall be greenish or reddish in the garment or in the leather, or in the warp or in the weft or in any leather object. It is an infection of leprosy and shall be shown to the priest. And the priest shall look at the infection and shut up the infected 7 days. And he shall look at the infection on the 7th day. And when the infection has spread in the garment or in the warp or in the weft or in the leather or in any leather work, the infection is an active leprosy. It is unclean. And he shall burn that garment or the warp or the weft in wool or in linen or any leather object in which the infection is, for it is an active leprosy. It is burned with fire. And this is so much connected to the end times and the immersion of fire and the bringing cleansing with fire to the world. But if the priest looks and sees that the infection has not spread in the garment, or in the warp, or in the weft, or in any leather object, then the priest shall give command, and they shall wash that in which the infection is, and he shall shut it up another 7 days. And the priest shall look at the infection after it has been washed and see if the infection has not changed its appearance. Though the infection has not spread, it is unclean, and burn it in the fire. It is eaten away. It is inside or outside.
Yeah. So that means that if it hasn't changed, so it didn't disappear after the washing, then it's inside of the tissue of the
material.
The material. So it's already contaminated. So it's going to be unclean. So you have to throw it away and destroy it in the fire.
And I just saw the comment from Daniel. Yes, Daniel, that's why I think he's bringing cleansing with fire, because everything that is impure, and I will do the connection in a minute. So it says in the 56, and if the priest shall look and see that the infection has faded after washing it, then he shall tear out of the garments, or out of the warp, or out of the weft, or out of the leather. And if it is still seen in the garment, or in the warp, or in the weft, or in the leather object, it is a spreading infection, burn it with fire, that in which the infection is. And if you wash the garment, or the warp, or the weft, or any leather object, if the infection has disappeared from it, then it shall be washed a second time, and shall be clean. It is the Torah of the infection of leprosy in a garment of wool or linen, or in the warp, or in the weft, or in any leather object, to pronounce it clean or to pronounce it unclean. So before going to the example, what I see here, some connections that are interesting, especially in the last few passages. It's talking about two types of cleansing processes. It's burning, it's cleansing through fire,
And washing.
and washing is cleansing
With
through
water.
water. What Yahushua said to the disciples is that he needed to be clean. He needs to wash his feet in order to be
Yeah.
fully clean. And what's that cleansing we are talking about? Is the immersion of water. So let me put it in this way, in this example. We are infected. Infected by what? by sin. What the Shaul Paul was talking in his letters is that the sin is in our flesh. And it's interesting because somehow it's connected with the skin. We don't see the flesh, but the skin is the one covering in the flesh. So it's somehow there. Somehow we see the manifestation of sin in our flesh, in our skin. What I'm talking about is that through our actions and the fruits of the sin through our actions and so on. But we have the possibility to be cleansed by water if we are obedient to the word of YaHuWaH. It's somehow one of the examples we are being seen here, that we are being cleansed by water. If we are being cleansed by water and the priest is seeing that the infection disappear, we're going to be declared clean. But there are some type of infections that are not able to be cleansed by water, is going to be cleansed by fire. The point is that I want to be cleansed by water, not by fire. That should be our focus, is just to be cleansed by water and not to wait to be cleansed by fire. I think that's the overall idea of the judgment and the purification by fire at the end. We were talking about Noah before, you remember? He brought cleansing to the world, but unfortunately the infections continue later on. So that's why
it's bigger and bigger.
Yes, the last cleansing is going to be fire. That's going to be the way to destroy the infection. So I think that's the type of the analogy that we are talking about. And the second thing is about the skin. And there are two things that came to my mind. I don't remember if I told you about it. Is that the skin is like our garment. Even if we go to the book of Bereshit, there's some theories out there is that they believe that when it says that YaHuWaH gave them cloth of skin, is that it's this skin.
This skin. Yeah, because
this skin. I don't know what to. I don't have any preference of to different interpretations, but it's good to bring it up. So this is a kind of garment. So if this skin is being contaminated, it's like we think in the future in the New Jerusalem, what we are pushing for now by keeping Torah, by keeping the commandments and so on, is that our garments are clean, white, and so on. If our garments are clean, white, and if the promise that we're going to be even having these white garments in order to enter to the city.
With no wrinkles.
With no wrinkles, exactly. No wrinkles. So, it's a kind of metaphor, it's a kind of a comparison, it's a kind of an analysis of our skin, our garments showing what is inside. If our garment is, in this case, the skin is clean, it's because we don't have infection internally. If we want to see this in a spiritual way, if our garments are white without wrinkle, it's because sin is not in us, or we are walking in righteousness. No matter the sins in our flesh, we are walking and doing the effort to walk in righteousness. Now, in the other way around, if we think this in a bigger scale of things, the air also has a kind of skin. As what we see is the soil. We're not seeing deeper in the skin. So everything that we see here at the ground level is a kind of the skin of the earth.
And maybe the volcanoes are like the eruption.
For example, it could be. It could be. So we see what's the condition of the skin of the earth today.
Really polluted.
Totally defiled, contaminated. So that skin is sick. And that's why, YaHuWaH is bringing fire, and he's going to create a new earth and a new heaven, because the current skin is totally defiled. And what he tried with water in the past, unfortunately, didn't work. The infection continued. And now he's bringing fire in order to purify that skin. That skin that he created totally pure at the very beginning, that became defiled, now is going to be purified again with fire, following exactly the same process that we see over here. And an additional thing, with the previous point that I was making, Paul is talking in the book of Corinthians about the different type of flesh. He's talking about the flesh of animals, the flesh of fishes, the flesh of man, and so on, when he's talking about the resurrection. And there is a different type of bodies, basically.
The
celestial bodies and so on.
Earthly bodies.
And he's making the case that in the resurrection, we're going to have a different body. So I see somehow a connection. The skin now in this place, this garment, having the chance to be infected. But the new one, we're going to get a new garment in the resurrection or transformation of our bodies. And that garment is going to be fully pure, not able to be defiled at all. Just thoughts. Okay? Last thing, and we are gonna finish with this because it's too long study.
And also that from the medical point of view, usually all the skin problems are related with internal issues, like when you have a lot of pressure, or you have a lot of problems and you cannot solve them. Usually they are going to be manifested in some dots and things and scabs and a lot of issues. Yeah.
True.
And
So
hormonal disorders and that kind of stuff.
So coming to the question that Daniel made in the few minutes ago about is it this related to sin or somehow the infections on the skin, basically, that was the question. I do think so.
And you found an example.
I think, and I have been said this in the past, and it's important before I mention it again, that with this understanding we should not judge others. That's not the intention.
Yeah.
Because the intention of Abba teaching us few things is just for our own benefit, in order to grow in knowledge and to help others. Basically, that's the focus of being a servant, is to serve YaHuWaH by helping others. So I came to the understanding in the past is that there are three. How to say it? There are three situations that can bring diseases or illnesses to ourselves. There are three origins, basically, of diseases.
Food is one of them.
No. One is because of sin. It is written.
Yeah.
Because of the sin of the parents. And third is in order to bring the manifestation and the miracles of YaHuWaH. So again, I'm gonna put the disclaimer. It's not because we see something sick, it's because he has sinned, or because their parents has sinned. It could be that maybe YaHuWaH is allowing the sickness in order to bring his miracles.
Yeah.
That's the way we need to do it, because if we understand that also sickness is coming because of sin or the sin of the parents, we're going to start judging, and that's not the purpose of all of this.
We don't know the reason.
We don't know the reasons. We know that there are three types of reasons, and this is written in, I don't remember, in the Leviticus, in some of the books. Actually, it was the disciples, the Talmidim, asking Mashiach, why this one is sick?
It was his sin or the sin of his father.
And Yahushua answered, none of this is just for the manifestation and the miracles of YaHuWaH to be manifested. So the point is that one of the origins is that, or one of the reasons that we can get sick is because of sin. And I think we see a clear example of this in the word of YaHuWaH, and this is the connection of this old story of leprosy. So let's go back to the book of the Midbar. This is the book of Numbers, chapter 12. We're not going to read entirely, but we are going to read just enough in order to understand the point, I will invite you to read this entire chapter just to have the whole context of what I'm gonna say. So this is the chapter where the Miriam and Aaron are speaking against Moshe. It says the following: Now Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moshe because of the Cushite woman whom he had taken, for he had taken a Cushite woman, or Cushite. And they said, Has YaHuWaH spoken only through Moshe? Had he not also spoken through us? And YaHuWaH heard it. And the man Moshe was very humble, more than all men who were on the face of the earth. And suddenly YaHuWaH said to Moshe and Aaron and Miriam, You three, come out to the tent of appointment. So the three came out. And YaHuWaH came down in the column of cloud and stood in the door of the tent and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both went forward. And he said, Hear now my words. If your prophet is of YaHuWaH, I make myself known to him in a vision, and I speak to him in a dream. That's why we need to take care of the dreams and the visions, because it's the way that YaHuWaH is speaking to us. Not so with my servant Moshe. He is trustworthy in all my house. I speak with him mouth to mouth and plainly, and not in riddles. Oh, what a beautiful thing!
Wow.
It's the same. It's the same.
Like
it's the same
face
thing.
to face.
It's the same thing that Yahushua was doing. He was speaking to everybody in parables, in riddles, but to his Talmud, his disciples, he was talking plainly, and not all the time.
No,
but
it was
he was
more
explaining the parables
at the end.
And not in riddles, and he sees the form of YaHuWaH. So, why were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moshe? And the displeasure of YaHuWaH burned against them, and he left. And the cloud turned away from above the tent, and look, Miriam was leprous, as white as snow. And Aaron turned toward Miriam, and look, a leper. And Aaron said to Moshe, O my master, please do not hold against us the sin in which we have done foolishly, and in which we have sinned. Please do not let her be as one dead when coming out of his mother's womb, with his flesh half consumed. And we are gonna, this is just a little bit, we can read entirely. And Moshe cried out to YaHuWaH, saying, O El, please heal her, please. And YaHuWaH said to Moshe, If her father had put spit in her face, would she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out of the camp 7 days, and after that let her be readmitted. And Miriam was shut out of the camp 7 days, and the people did not set out until Miriam was readmitted. And afterward, the people departed from Haserot, and they camped in the wilderness of Paran. So, what's the point here? What brought leprosy to Miriam?
Talking about his brother.
Talking bad things about his brother, gossiping. So instead of going and talk to Moshe, what are you doing this? Maybe they were bad, but they talk to Moshe, what are you doing this? And try to understand and to solve it. It was like to talk behind his back and talking badly about him. This is the whole context of what we're seeing here. And what was the end result? Is leprosy. Is infection on the skin. So evil speech could somehow produce type of diseases. And that's why we know in the book of James, in the book of Yaakov, it's talking about the tongue. That is it's in a small wheel, but it's burning and fire the entire creation. Because it's so difficult to tame and control the tongue. And that's why we need to be so careful
about what we
say, what we talk.
Yeah, it says there is not going to be a word that is not going to be considered of what you have said in the earth.
Yes, so, we need to.
So we don't have to worry even about all these mechanisms that they are recording or spying or things like that, because our conscious should be like all the time we are being recorded.
Exactly. That's why we need to think first before talking. And if we see that what we are going to say it's not a good thing. We need to refrain our tongue and our mouth and not say it. Because, we can have it here on our mouth, but at the moment that it's coming out from our mouth, the mind, but it's when it's coming out of our mouth, we cannot bring it back.
Yeah. And the idea is that we ask Abba that if it's here, he can take it out, because usually it's going to be a test or something like that, like a bad thought that could be set there. And the idea is to remove it.
And what YaHuWaH has been called as is to be kodesh, to be set apart.
Yeah.
And if we are not able to control our mouth, that somehow it could result in a disease.
Yeah.
Considering this example here. We are going to be unclean, and during that period of uncleanness, we are not going to be set apart.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important that we consider all of this. I have few passages here. I know it's late, but let's see what were they're related about. And I forgot to mention one thing. I think I need to do it.
But it's really interesting how he talked about the cleansing process from the two things that you said that it doesn't have any relationship, but I found it very interesting. Before it was from the birth, and now from the skin. And with Adam and Eve, or Adam and Hawa, it was that the first thing that happened that they have the baby. No, it doesn't have the baby. They received the curse. How they're going to receive the birth, that it was going to be in pain, and then they receive the skins of the animal. So, like they're parallels.
It could be. So let's read Kefaleh, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 8 to 12. It says the following. To sum up, let all of you be like-minded. And let's put ourselves in the situation while I'm reading that Kefa is talking to you and he's talking to me. What he's saying, and this is so important in these times that we are living. So let's assume for a moment that what he's talking is not talking to that generation that back then, is talking to
also
you and to me
us.
now. So to sum up, let all of you be like-minded, sympathetic, loving as brothers, tender-hearted, humble-minded, no returning evil for evil, no reviling for reviling, but on the contrary, blessing, knowing that you were called to this in order to inherit a blessing. For he who wishes to love life and see good days, let him keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek peace and pursue it, because the eyes of YaHuWaH are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayers. But the face of YaHuWaH is against those who do evil. It's exactly talking about this. Is to refrain our tongue. It's not to talk evil things. It's to avoid our lips speaking something that is not good, that is a lie, is something that is a deceit. And I have another reference here in the book of Matthew. Let's see quickly. I don't remember what is written here. This is in my notes. Chapter 15, verse 15 to 20. It's a little bit slow, my computer now. It says, and Kefa answered and said to him, explain this parable to us. And Yahushua said, are you also still without understanding? Poor Peter.
Yeah, you.
My gosh, you still don't get it?
Yeah. Oh, I could have wept if I was Peter.
Do you not understand that whatever enters into the mouth goes into the stomach? And this is a good one. And is cast out in the sewer. But what comes out of the mouth, what is coming out of the mouth is not spit only, it's words. Comes from the heart, and this defile the man. For out of the heart comes forth wicked reasonings, murders, adulteries, whorings, thefts, false witnessing, slanders. These defile the man, but to eat with unwashed hands does not defile the man. So Mashiach is quite clear. We need to take care of what is coming out of our mouth.
Because if it's coming out from here,
it's coming from the heart.
Yeah.
It's coming from the heart, and as I said, we cannot bring this back. It's already out. So last thing, why I do believe that the people was talking tamei.
I think that it was like
Tamei. Yeah, they were covering because of what we
with
said.
with one finger.
Yeah.
Is strange.
But they were talking tamei.
Yeah.
Why they were talking tamei?
Because I think that is for the other people not getting close because they're worried about the rest of the people. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think also it's because in order to move people in compassion. How people, there are physical and visual signs of people with infection, especially with leprosy. It's easier to see it. But why to publicly say tamei? Yeah, it's true. Because of you're not gonna get contaminated with the disease by touching, as I said before, but you are gonna become unclean. And if you become unclean, you need to go through the whole process of cleansing in order to go into the set apart place or to approach the set apart place. That's one of the reasons. But I also believe that it's because in order to move people to compassion. Why is that? Because we see a clear example, and with this I'm finished. It's in the chapter 8 of Matthew. It says the following. It's talking about Yahushua. And when he, Yahushua, came down from the mountain, large crowds followed him. And see, a leper came and bowed before him, saying, Master, if you desire, you are able to make me clean. And stretching out his hand, Yahushua touched him, saying, I desire, be cleansed. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Yahushua said to him, See, mention it to no one, but go your way, show yourself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moshe commanded as a witness to them. Yahushua saw this person. It's not written that this person was crying out, tamei.
But he was expressing that he
was expressing that he was unclean, that he has the disease. And because of that, Yahushua was moved to compassion in order to bring healing to him.
But I think that is not the common reaction of everybody.
Exactly. That's the point.
Because the common reaction is going to say...
It's to react and get away from me.
Yeah. So Mashiach is given the example.
So in the way that I see is that basically is to get notice of somebody that is going through a disease process. But instead of reacting or moving us away from them, is to get closer and to be moved in compassion and to touch them in order for the manifestation of the word of YaHuWaH and the power of YaHuWaH to be present on them and to bring healing. We are being called in order to bring all of this, in order to bring that manifestation of the Ruach of Elohim through signs and wonders, to bring healing to the people. One of the things that the first disciples, when we read the book of Acts, were doing, and why YaHuWaH was bringing so much people to his kingdom back then, because unfortunately most of the people are looking for signs and wonders, and this is exactly what was happening. The Ruach was moving so strongly through them, through the disciples, that people were able to see with their own eyes something extraordinary. And that's why the Ruach was moving in their hearts in order to come and believe in the word of YaHuWaH. So this is exactly what we need to do if we are getting away from those opportunities that YaHuWaH is moving us into compassion and to bring healing to those peoples. We are blocking somehow, not allowing YaHuWaH to manifest himself, to bring those signs and wonders. It doesn't mean that we are gonna lay down our hands without taking care of that. I think Paul is talking about this, is that we need to do it as soon as we feel moved by the Ruach. You will feel it in your heart when to do it. And that's the matter, is to be obedient. As we read previously, is that we are obedient and we obey his voice, we are going to be a treasure position. That's it. No more.
Yeah. That was nice.
It's been, wow,
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Sorry.
So, any final words from your side?
No, I was making like, I don't know why thought came to my mind that it's related to also that maybe the contamination is not only of the diseases by the skin, also with our attitudes, with the ruach that our Father is providing us, the Spirit, the blessing that He is providing us, the shalom. Maybe we can be contagious of that, because you can feel when a person can, is projecting a good, they call it vibe, but I think that is the spirit. That is a good spirit. You can feel it when something is positive or when something is negative. So we have to work on that. And our prayers should be in that direction, that we can make the manifestation of His kingdom here, being a recipient and a tool for that purpose.
Exactly. So having said that, thank you so much, Toda Rabba, for joining us today. You know, I managed to see 61 of you connected, and that's a tremendous blessing. So I really hope that all of this study is bringing blessing to your life. The insight is somehow igniting the fire in your heart in order to keep studying the word of YaHuWaH, to go into the deeper studies. Just to, what's the purpose to study the word is to get closer to Him, to know Him better. So I really hope that all of this has been helping you in your walk. Thank you, all of you, for joining us, for interacting in the chat. Thank you for the moderators that are always helping us in this managing the chat. I know that you are behaving, all of you,
we
in
are
the
going
chat.
to read it later.
And yes, this is a beautiful family. You know, that's the way that, as Peter was describing in his letter, I see that love and tender-hearted people, like-minded people in this family, small family, and that's a beautiful thing to have. So thank you so much for letting us to be part of you and for following us in this study. And I hope to see you next week in the next study. Enjoy the
About willing.
enjoy the rest of Shabbat and have a wonderful and blessed week. So I will leave you with a song. So enjoy it. See you next week. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
YaHuWaH be with you all. Bye.
Bye.
ויבש את ידיו יצרום, לא הים והוא עצרום, ויבש את ידיו ויבש את ידיו יצרום, לא הים והוא עצרום, ויבש את ידיו יצרום, וגם פניו בתורה, בזמירות נריע לו, כי אין גדול אדוני. וגם פניו בתורה, בזמירות נריע לו, כי אין גדול אדוני. השתחווה ונקרא, נברכה לפניו עשינו. השתחווה ונקרא, נברכה לפניו עשינו.